The Addams Family has a history of 85 years, and not only films filled the collection of works about a strange, gloomy, unlike the Addams Family. There were several attempts to make an animated series about the Addams Family, but they were unsuccessful. And so, in 2019, history repeated itself. But this time in the form of full-length cartoon. How did Addams turn out in this movie? In this video, we will talk about 2 full-length cartoons and whether they are worth watching. And at the end of the video, a bonus part with interesting facts awaits you. In the video review of the Netflix series Wednesday, I have already talked in detail about the history of the creation of the Addams Family and about the series and films. In this video, I will add some interesting facts that were not mentioned in the previous video. Charles grew up in New Jersey on Elm Street in an old Victorian mansion. He liked to walk around the cemetery, climb into abandoned mansions, of which there were many in New Jersey in the 1920s. He started drawing comics at school, and at the age of 21, he submitted his first work to the New Yorker magazine. Despite the fact that Charles loved everything old and gloomy, biographers described Addams as a well-dressed, polite man with gray, slick hair and gentle manner. During public appearances, Addams accompanied such famous women as Greta Garbo, Joan Fontaine, and Jacqueline Kennedy. He was friends with Hitchcock and Ray Bradbury, and was married 3 times. The eccentric artist played his wedding with his 3rd wife in an animal cemetery. As I said, there have been attempts to make a cartoon about the Addams Family, although not entirely successful. The Addams Family in 1973. The first animated series about the adventures of weird, creepy family. It aired on Sunday mornings from 1973 to 1975 on NBC. In general, the writers adhered to the canon images of the characters of the Addams as defined in the series. In the animated series, Addams no longer lived in a mansion, but moved into a Victorian-style motorhome. They traveled on it all over the United States. The musical theme has also changed. The authors left only 4 melodies from the original series. After the release of the first animated series about the Addams Family, the audience demanded new animated adventures of their favorite characters. Hanna-Barbera continued the work and, in 1992, filmed a sequel. The animated series The Addams Family in 1992 was the second attempt. 2 seasons of the animated series were released. It aired on ABC from September 1992 to September 1994. Focusing on children, its creators largely softened the characters and their typical habits. In addition to Gomez, Morticia and their children, an eternally crooked accountant and dishonest businessman live in the house. Don't expect good things from this too. And so, it turns out, they plan to bankrupt the Addams. The series also introduces some of the Addams' neighbors, with whom relationships are not very good. After these 2 animated series, attempts to create something like this stopped for a while, until it was time for the new animation. In the Addams Family 2019, the most extravagant family lives in a round-down mansion on the top of the fog-shrouded hill, somewhere in New Jersey, a tribute to Charles Addams' homestead. They have a luxurious home, a Gothic mansion inspired by the author's own home and decorated after his New York apartment. Addams loved old weapons, knightly armor, and antiques. The story begins with the marriage ceremony of Gomez and Morticia. At this inopportune moment, the Addams clan attacked by the angry mob, who are annoyed and frightened by the family with their gloomy and reclusive lifestyle. After fighting off the attackers with the help of Grandma and Fester, Gomez and Morticia decide to move to New Jersey. They check into an abandoned mental hospital on the top of the hill. They manage to knock down a former patient of the clinic Lurch by car and make him their butler. Years have passed and Addamses live in the same house in isolation from the outside world and raise children, Paxley and Wednesday. However, it is not possible to be away from people all the time. The outside world shows itself. Having lived many happy years in the Addams style, Gomez and Morticia prepare for the visit from their relatives on the occasion of the saber dance, Paxley's rite of passage as a man of the Addams clan. What the Addams don't know, however, is that their neighbor at the bottom of the hill, television writer Margot Needler, is building an entire block of houses out of colorful, perfectly shaped blocks of the same type. As the fog clears, Margot is dismayed at the sight of the Addams Family mansion, the only obstacle to her dream of selling all the houses in the area and the eternal glory of a TV star. While Paxley struggles to learn the complex moves of the saber dance, Wednesday struggles with growing up. She befriends Margot's daughter, Parker, and breaks the boundaries, as well as Morticia's patience, by getting involved into normal activities like attending public school, cheerleading, or wearing pink hairpins. The approach to creating a new cartoon about the Addams Family, of course, turned out to be unique. 2 short animated series were shot, but not a single animated film. What do you do when you have established material that people know and love that has been made into feature films, TV series, and even a Broadway musical? The nostalgia factor is here, but it's not a reboot. The producer presented this project as another way into the world of the Addams Family. According to the creators, they turned to the original comics to start from the very beginning, from the moment the characters were born. In every interpretation, Addams had been shown as a frozen family unit. They also wanted to show each character and story separately. No one ever wondered how Gomez and Morticia met and how they ended up in the house, what their backstory is. This immediately distinguished the cartoon from other Addams films. The director and screenwriter began to develop this idea as soon as they came up with it. While working on creating the atmosphere of the new film, the creative part of film crew puzzled over how to adapt the original images of the family for the silver screen. Their characters don't look exactly like Charles Addams' drawings, but they are based on the source materials and echo them in form, so the characters in the cartoon have a really distinctive look. There is a direct line leading their work to the comics of Charles Addams himself. It was very important for the creators to maintain continuity. The directors thought to create characters that would be different from many previous interpretations of the Addams Family, using all available means, from voices to storylines. The new cartoon, The Addams Family, was voiced by a brilliant cast: Morticia, Charlize Theron, Gomez Addams, Oscar Isaac, Wednesday, Chloe Grace Moretz, and Pugsley, Finn Wolfhard. Written by Pamela Putler, who worked on Tim Burton's Corpse Bride. The idea was that each of the voice actors would try to come up with their own version of these characters. For example, Charlize Theron speaks with that mid-Atlantic accent that dates back to 1940s. Oscar Isaac brought in his Spanish accent. Chloe Grace Moretz plays Wednesday in a very flat and subdued way. The ability of the actors to create unique characters rather than just show up and speak in their normal voice made the characters pop. Based on the original Charles Addams comics from The New Yorker, production designer Patricia Edgkinson enthusiastically said about creating a new animated world of the Addams Family. Edgkinson came to the project from the more colorful world of children's television, and she was fascinated by the new color palette and the mood with which she had to work on the cartoon. Most of the creative team agreed that animation has given them a lot of opportunities to work on this project that would not have been possible with the live-action film. The scenery turned out great. Take, for example, the iconic Addams Family mansion, the central image of the film, which was based on the cottage of Charles Addams in Westfield. It's funny when Gomez and Morticia realized they found the dream house in New Jersey, according to the director. In contrast to the dilapidated elegance of the Addams Family home, Margot Nidler's world is sternly in rich, positive colors. With every look at the shabby luxury of the Addams mansion, it becomes clear that this place is falling apart. It has seen better days, but it is homely and cozy, and the Addams love each other heartily, albeit in their strange, terrible way. At the other end of the city, where everything is extremely neat and colorful, there is absolutely no soul. Margot does not understand this, which is why she does not have a relationship with her daughter. She's convinced that everything ugly and imperfect is wrong. Margot's world is ordered. Every line is flawless. Every detail is in its place. Everything is very minimalistic, to say the least, cold and soulless. In this film, our well-known heroes were given a backstory. We see their marriage, moving, and meeting Lurch. When I started writing the script, I remembered that this movie was mediocre. But in the very first frames, we see a mention of all those elements there were in the movies. And it doesn't even look like mockery to me, and more like a tribute. A living house, Lurch playing the piano, and the house itself is very similar to the one we saw in the 1991 film. The graphics are not bad, everything looks quite organic and high quality. Yes, they did not particularly work in textures. Apparently this was one of the ways to save money. Just like the reflection in the windows of houses in the city from afar. They look a bit cardboardly, still due to the lack of enough textures. There are many references not only to films about the Addams Family, but also to many works, for example, Frankenstein, It, and many others. It was so cute when I went to the cinema to see the cartoon for the first time and people started singing along with the songs at the end of the cartoon. I didn't know about the 1964 series then, but it is obvious now. The only thing that always amazes me is why does everyone make fun of New Jersey? I heard it quite often in movies, stand-up shows, and so on. I lived in New Jersey for over a year before the pandemic. Well, yeah, maybe the state does not differ in anything special, but really, if you know what this joke's about, please write down in the comments. The Addams Family 2 tells about the road trip of the heroes in which they go for a reason. Wednesday plunges into science but does not excel at the school competition. There, in the name of friendship, all participants are awarded. The heroine misses joint dinners, and Gomez decides to improve relationship with daughter. Gomez and Morticia Addams are concerned that the children are behaving out of the ordinary and distancing from the family, so they decide to go on a family trip. They leave their grandmother to look after the house. Just before leaving, the lawyer, Mr. Mostella, appears and declares that Wednesday is not Addams' daughter. The child was mixed up in the maternity hospital. Initially, motivation seems illogical and weak. Firstly, in the family where everything was decided by dialogue, all of a sudden this very dialogue does not exist. Throughout the cartoon, the plot focuses only on Wednesday. It is she who becomes estranged, then approaches. The rest of the characters do not attract much attention. From gloomy characters with witchly manners, they often turn into weak-willed and defenseless. Instead of dialogue and personal boundaries, deathly silence and timidity. The authors really tried and kept the visual of the original comics, but they forgot about the characters and the plot. Yes, in the second film, the textures are much better, it is noticeable. And to be honest, I was surprised that I saw the second movie. Events from both films merged into one in my memory. By the way, as I already said in the review of Wednesday from Netflix, the conflicts between parents and children was already revealed in the full-length cartoon. And it appeared not only in the second film, but also in the first. And the teenage rebellion of the first film is shown even more vividly. In the second film, this conflict continues, but in a slightly different direction. In the second film, Gomez is already trying to get closer to Wednesday, and often use cliché with the family trip. From the very first scenes, it becomes clear that the second film was released only because of the success of the first. And it no longer has the charm that the first had. In the first film, there were 3 storylines, in the second, only 1, and a small sideline with the grandmother who threw the party. The cartoon, Addams Family 2, has now become more interesting than the first part. It just has a variety of locations where the events in the cartoon unfold. For the Addams leave their Gothic castle to travel across America. Their plans include a tour of the most terrible places, but by the chance, they find themselves in a popular tourist spots where the heroes stand out from other travelers. Besides them, no one walks a lion, builds a guillotine out of sand, or plants explosives in the vastness of the Grand Canyon. The sequel for the 2019 cartoon was made frankly for the sake of making money. For adults, this is just nothing. For kids, the opportunity to giggle a couple of times at biggest jokes. The film tries to survive on the frequent pop culture references, which does not give it artistic value at all. Although, the style of Charles Addams comics suggests the possibility of making a cartoon out of these characters, as we already have seen, attempts to do this were unsuccessful. Viewers prefer cinematic or real Addams, so to speak, live, not drawn. The first feature-length cartoon about the Addams Family tried to pay tribute to the legacy of a talented artist and generations of people who loved the humor and style of this strange but very charming family. The second one was already created for the enrichment and absolutely does not fit into the perception and style of Addams. Let's hope it won't be a third part. What do you think? How do you like these cartoons? Be sure to share your opinions in the comments. And now it's time for some interesting facts. In many of his drawings, Charles Addams depicted locations in West Falls, New Jersey. Do you know that Thing had a girlfriend? Carolyn Jones, who played Morticia in the original Addams Family television series, also played the Thing's girlfriend, Lady Fingers. A range of actresses have featured as Morticia, from the original Morticia played by Carolyn Jones to Daryl Hannah and Liz Torres, best known for her role as Miss Patty on Gilmore Girls. In 1973, The Addams Family, Buxley was voiced by the actress Jodie Foster. In the 1960s, there actually was a dance called Lurch that started a storyline in an episode of The Addams Family. The musical The Addams Family is one of the most popular high school productions. Wednesday Addams was unnamed in the original New Yorker comics. When a TV character needed a name, Charles Addams turned to the nursery rhyme Monday's Child. The lines are not surprising. Wednesday Child is full of woe. Finn Wolfhard couldn't return to voice Paxley Adams' character in the second part of the cartoon due to the voice changes, so Javon Walton was chosen instead. In 1973, animated series was the Addams' first own animated show, but they had already been tunes before that, appearing in 1972 in several episodes of the popular Scooby-Doo animated series. Watch only good movies. Thank you for watching. And by the way, this is me singing in the background, just like in the review Wednesday. If you like it, you can check out my Instagram, there's some more covers there.